hello again.
Hello.
To another top of her game interview where we have chosen women that we believe to be top of their game in some regard because we see a sparkle in them and we want to find out, where did you get that sparkle and how much does it cost? Today we have, well, of course we don't introduce them. We say, who are you and where do you come from?
Hello, I'm Elisabeth Henriksson. Most people probably don't know my name because people call me Elisabeth Wickle. Because I have a shop in Lewes called Wickle. And I am from Norway, but I find myself in Lewes.
So where were you born and raised?
I was born in Bergen in Norway, and then I lived there for my first 10 years, and then my family immigrated to Spain. And we lived in Spain for 5 years, so I spent my first teenage years in Spain.
Lovely. How many languages do you speak?
Well, properly I speak 3, but I understand 6.
I could see the mental. That's amazing.
We start learning languages early in Norway because it's such a small country and not many other people understand what to say.
And you know you're going to travel, so you might as well.
Exactly. I mean, my nephew who is 6, he's just started learning English in school.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, yeah.
So, how do you think that where you're from and where you were raised has contributed to your business and your creativity?
It's quite a tricky one because I always see myself as a plant pot. I was sort of taken up by the roots and put in a pot and able to travel around the world without losing myself. So I feel comfortable most places, I think. I think just my parents took us traveling quite a lot. So we appreciated seeing other cultures and how different people live, and just appreciate what's around us. I think that sort of is my main reason. I took a life path choosing not to study, because I wanted the world to be my university. So strangely, I find myself in Lewes rather than having travelled around the world, but it's such a wonderful place with so many people that doesn't seem to matter.
How long have you been in Lewes for?
We've been here for 11 years now. Okay. I was in London 10 years before when I came to England, so I was there for 10 years working, and then me and my husband moved to Lewes when our daughter was 9 months old.
Wow, that's fairly educational. Well done on the university there. What 3 words would your grandmother use to describe you?
I thought about this. Hardworking. She definitely would say that I am creative. And finally, I think she probably would say I'm like her. Because the kind of me and her, we understand what we mean about that. We've always had this way, because she knew I was traveling from very early on, from 10 years old, I went abroad away from my grandmother. And then after that, I never really settled in Norway again. We had a deal that we would look up to the stars in the sky and we would always see the same stars no matter where we were. So we were actually fairly close together anyhow. And me and her have always had that connection. So she's extremely important to me in my life. Momo. That's her name for me, Momo.
So you said that you and her are alike. So describe her to us. Go on, so we can understand you better.
Oh, well, she's 95.
It's a characteristic, right?
But she is the best looking 95-year-old I've ever seen. She's amazing. She is... she comes from a fisherman's background in Norway, so she lived a very, very hard life, rowing to and from school, wearing wooden shoes. She hid from the Germans growing up, and under a stone in Norway. She got married and had 4 kids. She married her toy boy, which was quite unusual in those days, so she had a younger husband. And raised 4 amazing children while working extremely hard as well.
Wow.
So I don't know. I don't think I'm really following the question now. I'm babbling on about it.
Keep going. Wow.
She's always doing something, always making something, always baking, always putting her hands to something. but she puts family first. Family is everything to her. Yeah, does that cover it? I've lost my thread. No?
Honor your grandma.
Oh. No, she's just, you know, she's definitely the head of our family. All her grandchildren and 21 great grandchildren all come to her all the time and spend time with her. She is just amazing. So
Amazing.
we have a tiny little 1-bedroom apartment, but somehow we all managed to squeeze in there to visit.
So people call you Elisabeth Wickle. So you're going to have to tell us, what is Wickle?
Well, Wickle is now a mini department store for the whole family in Lewes. So yeah, it's a 125 square meters shop with kind of ladies wear, homeware, toys, lots of children's wear, things that everyone likes to play with. There's a lot of silly things, which I like to think are all for all ages, very importantly. All the games have 3 to 99 on them. So my grandma can do them for 4 more years, so that's it. Then at the very back, we have a little cafe and a play table. And the cafe is really more a treat room for the family where people can come and relax and spend time with their loved ones while getting used to being in a kind of public environment, because most kids find that quite tricky. And I like to think that people get a chance to learn to relax and learn how to deal with it, and just have fun together.
That's awesome. Tell us more about why Wickle.
I always dreamt of having a shop when I was little. My other side of the family, my father's side, is a string of shopkeepers. They've been shopkeepers for 5 generations. My 2 brothers and my sister are shopkeepers in Norway. And I always knew that I wanted to have my own shop. So I've worked in retail since I was 13, and that was kind of my career path, as I said earlier. So I knew that having a shop was what I wanted. When we were in London, when my daughter was just born, we set up Wickle as a mini kind of online shop selling perfumes and toiletries and little creative kits for adults. And I ran that from home while I was pregnant, and then in the beginning when Maud was little. And when we came to Lewes, I was kind of wanting to open a shop, but at the same time we were busy just wholesaling our products. We used to sell to places like Henry Bendel in New York, and Whistles stocked it across their 120 shops, and the list of kind of big department stores across the world that stocked it was quite long. So we were quite busy wholesaling. And walking around in Lewes, I walked into the needle makers and I found a little shop there. I think it was called the Art Room at the time. And as I was wandering around there, I kind of said to her, I hope you don't mind, but I make perfumes and I think they would really suit your shop. Would you mind if I bring you in a sample so you can see what you think? The lady in there said, yeah, fine, no problem. Being a mum of a little child, it took me 2 weeks before I managed to get back in again. And at that time, there was a sign-off just saying shop to let. And I thought, oh my gosh, she isn't here anymore, but fine. If I have to have the shop myself, that's what I'll do. So I literally made a phone call there and then and said, yes, we would really like to take the unit. And that's how Wickle started in Lewes. So then, of course, our perfumes and toiletries weren't enough. So we realised we needed to have more than just those products in a shop of, I think that was about 40 square metres. So we decided to just have a little bit of everything for the family. And that was our beginnings in Lewes.
Brilliant. So where do you find inspiration? Where do you find your inspiration and your products? Like, what is the thing that you go, oh, that thing, I need that in my shop. I really need that one.
My rule is that I have to love it and I have to want to live with it and have it in my house for it to be in the shop.
Tell me what your house looks like because of the shop.
Well, it doesn't completely look like the shop because, of course, on my shopping and buying trips, I find quite a lot of vintage things, which I do have a big passion for. So they are only ones of. So Quite a few of them stay in the house. But no, it's colourful. Our shop is colourful, my house is colourful. But yeah, I like, it's really important to me that the people have created a product have pride in what they are creating. So I like to always speak to my suppliers and check that it's created in a good factory by people who are happy doing what they're doing. Because for me, life is very much part of what you do as a living. And it's, for me, a vocation rather than an occupation. And I like to think that other people get to share that gift, because for me, it's a gift to do something that I love doing. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I think Amy's found a good question to ask now. Okay, you ask it. Yeah, that one. This one. Would you point to that? Huh? We're very kind of, fluid in our technique here.
Of course.
We were, but then when someone goes off script and goes, ask question number 10, or number 10, next one, I don't know. So my inspirational question for you.
I think that fits in quite nicely right here.
You've been working this up for 10 years, but what's been most rewarding for you personally?
Definitely still being here. Customers coming back, customers wanting us to do what we're doing, and people being loyal customers. I think in our shop, about 75% of our customers are regular customers. So for me, that's the biggest gift of all. It's just that people are happy for us to do what we're doing, and they show it by coming back.
Why do you think that Wickle has been so successful? Because Lewes is one of those places where it takes time to get traction in the area, and then when it is settled, it's kind of can be flavour of the month for a while and then dissipates. So why have you been successful for so long?
Well, I like to think that that's where my kind of previous work in retail comes in, because I did do retail for 20 years almost before setting up on my own. So I did learn that obviously, yes, you can sell things you love, but you have to actually be selling them for you to have a business. So you can't just fill your shop with what you love and then hope for the best. You have to actually kind of listen to the customers and figure out that they are going to love similar things to you. And when we moved to Lewes, we very much knew that we found a kind of spiritual home here, because that's how we chose it. We were on our way to Brighton, but I didn't really feel like I was fitting in. So when we found Lewes, I really felt at home quite quickly. And we started a shop very small, did little bits and pieces. And as we kind of saw that was successful, I sort of organically grew it. So we went from the shop that we started in the needle makers to having our shop on the high street, which was 3 times the size. And we ran those two next to each other for quite a while I still had the energy and we're happy to kind of go crazy with it. But I think the success comes from just being prepared to listen to customers and taking that on board.
So you've got lots of different things within the shop. You've got the cafe and all the variety of products, and you also run workshops and stuff. So with that many things in your shop, tell us all the things. We don't know all the things because you get up to so much stuff, Elisabeth. There's like such variety with not only colour and product, but just the aspects of it. Go, tell us them all.
Yeah. Well, we've just finished Art Wave, so we had amazing Naomi Edwards show off her life sculpting or life casting pieces. I'm really happy to support local artists and show off their work. So yes, we had her work in the shop. We will have exhibitions coming in the future, but this side of Christmas is harder for us because we need a space for stock. So we haven't got anything but a little launch of some very nice products by Olivia Waller, who's a local illustrator. That's our next art thing. Then we are waiting to know our new schedule for Friday craft time. So we have quite a few different crafters in Lewes who come and run workshops for us for adults and children in our little cafe area. Then we have, I have to think, Blackout in Brighton, which is a fabulous shop run by a dear friend of mine. They come and do their amazing supper clubs in the shop. So we've just finished the stunt of Indian feast supper clubs, and then we're hoping that the next one we'll be doing is the Mexican feast. Very, very exciting. They go traveling around the world and then they bring back amazing recipes. And
give us a date.
Yeah.
well, again, they are fellow shopkeepers, so we aren't sure whether they can squeeze one in autumn.
Okay.
In the retail world now, you know, it's kind of crazy, but we're very close to that C word, which we don't want to say yet. Not that C word. I'm talking retail.
Any part of Christmas.
Oh no! Don't say it. I hate it when shops start playing Christmas music and putting out their Christmas displays at this time of year.
You can never start too early. Never. There's enough colour in Wickle. You don't need Christmas decorations anyway.
No, we don't do before after bonfire anyhow. We can't.
No.
Bonfire is far too important in Lewes. We have to respect it.
Yeah, well done. So what is your favourite part of the shop? That personal little secret, guilty pleasure, that's my... Ooh. It's like picking a favourite child, I know, but go on.
Well, I did have quite a long stint working mainly with sort of fashion retail. So I do love our ladies' wear. I love having clothing in the shop and helping people find things they feel happy in, because fashion can be so fickle. And yeah,
like Wickle.
I know. You said that.
Come on.
But yeah, so probably the ladies' wear. As much as I love toys, and I collect old toys myself at home. It still would have to be the ladies' wear at the moment.
We're so going to visit Elisabeth at her home. She's got toys.
At home.
Yeah. You'd like my boxing toys. There are two figures and you have to hit them really hard and they box each other.
Around your house.
We probably lost the thread again, didn't we?
Doesn't matter. It's interesting.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
What's been your biggest learning and challenge running Wickle over in Lewes?
Oh, that's quite a big one. I think the biggest challenge is not taking things too far and too serious. By that I mean I visited one of my suppliers back in November. I was invited to a special Christmas party for them. This all makes sense. They're called Rise DK, and they are an amazing company funded by a husband and wife team in Denmark. And their slogan is just "We care." And I was slightly skeptical going there because I've been to quite a few parties for suppliers. And when I got there, I realized that they just really seriously just cared about what they did. Most companies in the world are set up with kind of an idea of eventually I will sell this business for multi-million pounds, float it on the stock market, you know, I will do amazing, everyone will tell me hurrah, and it's amazing what you've done. And seeing them, they started just a couple of years before me starting Wickle. I realised that there are companies out there who just do it because they care and because they want to produce really good stuff by people who are happy, and they want to employ people who are happy working, and they don't have an end plan in game. They're not planning their retirement. They are planning just to enjoy their life there and then and here and now. And I guess at one point in Wickle, people kept telling me, aren't you going to expand? Aren't you going to open a shop in another place? Come on, we need a Wickle here and a Wickle there and websites. And a part of me sort of started looking into doing that and kind of getting a little bit lost with that and forgetting that actually what I love doing is being a shopkeeper, being creative with it and looking after my customers. So that's been my biggest learning curve, to kind of have to go back to basic. And Rice, when I went to visit them, really helped me in that, to go, yeah, actually, I agree. I'm not doing this because I'm planning a sellout. I'm doing this because it's my job that I do now while living and while enjoying it.
I think you may have just answered our next question, which was, what is your vision, passion or desire for the next 10 years?
Oh, well, there is, of course, a little something in there. if I could kind of like magically have whatever wish I want, I would set up a factory in a third world country, where I would make Wickle products, and where people hopefully will be really, really happy working there and being able to support their families happily. And yeah, that would be, for me, that would be the biggest thing. I wouldn't want to kind of open or do lots of other things in other places, apart from being able to say, yes, everything is produced here by these amazing people. That would be amazing. Yeah.
That's that whole awesome, care thing, loving what you do. That's brilliant. And that's why she's on this interview. She is so top of her game.
Oh, thank you.
So you say you love toys, and it kind of, that's one of your things, to collect toys and games. So, but what game do you hate the most, and why?
Oh, actually, I hate computer games. And my children don't really know that the Xbox or anything like that exists.
Yes, well done.
You know, because on mobile phones and tablets, they have discovered some games. So I don't know if I can say that as a generic thing. If not, does tennis count? I love watching tennis, but I hate playing it. Does that count? Ooh.
It does count, but...
oh, sorry. No. I watch it all the time, but I can't play it.
But, honest to goodness, you know Emma Carlo, who's interviewed before, yeah?
Yeah.
She used to go, I don't play tennis, I'm so rubbish. Amy here has now got Emma Carlo willingly to join a tennis club. She's a good coach, Elisabeth. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't think you could ever coach me into being able to play tennis. I just don't get it. I happily, when I was breastfeeding my son, Wimbledon was on. Oh, it was just brilliant. I watched it and watched it and watched it. My son is shouting from the next room saying, me. So, watch it, yes, but play it, no, can't. Sorry.
We've noted that, and we'll get hold of you, don't worry. So we've only got one more question for you, which Amy's going to ask. Okay.
So we are obviously coming to your house. You know that we have to talk about. But, you know, before we come, just tell us what your best room in your house is and why.
Oh, well, that we are living in a nice old house in Lewes, which is still very much being decorated. So my son again shouts really cool. Our living room is the only room which kind of is more or less decorated, though it's probably not how we will end up with it. So probably my living room is my favourite room at the moment.
And what is it about that room that you love?
Oh, it's got all my kind of folky inspired things in it, and colours. You can see the colour behind, in fact, is teal. And that's including ceiling. It's all around teal. So it's kind of like a bit of a dark, relaxing room, but then it has beautiful views of the amazing Depot Cinema in Lewes, of the roof. So we've got a roof garden in front of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Elisabeth, thank you so much for sharing with us more about you, so that we can know the face and the person and the love and the care that is behind Wickle. Because if anybody's from Lewes or even Sussex, we kind of know Wickle and the colourfulness of it. And it's great to hear more about you and the sparkle that actually comes through your brand. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Your secrets and telling us more about you and your why. We love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.